a heart to heart with our principal. Namaste and welcome back to the brand new episode of Mykonos, the official podcast of Kathmandu Don Bosco College. I'm your host Karma, and today we have a very special guest. We have the honor of sitting down with someone who is not only just a leader, but also an inspiration to all of us. Rashmi Sharma Mainali, the principal of Xavier Academy and Kathmandu Don Bosco College. She also serves as the director of Samriddhi School, Samriddhi College, and Sikshalaya College. With over a decade of experience in the field of education, she brings not only academic expertise, but also a deep passion for nurturing students. Her leadership is marketed by a balance of professionalism and empathy, and she is widely respected for her commitment to creating impactful learning environments across all the institutions. In this episode, we get to know the woman behind these multiple roles, her journey, her vision for KDBC, and the advice she has for students striving to grow in this fast changing world. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Kathmandu.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much.
We truly appreciate your time.
Thank you.
So without any delay, let's get into the segments.
Mhm.
So our first segment, we have personal background.
Mhm.
Can you tell us a little about your early life and background?
Okay. But I have a very interesting story to tell. I don't know how much time can you give it to me. I call myself somebody from a privileged family because both my parents are educated. My mother was a teacher. My father worked in the government. And our parents always realized the importance of education, and that's how we got educated. But I was married very early in my age. So if you ask me about my academics, I was a pretty good student. I wouldn't say exceptional student, but a pretty good student. But I was not really decided on what I wanted in life.
Oh.
So what happened was, post my, you call it SEE today, but then we would call it HSLC. I didn't know what I was supposed to take. So if you ask me, I was more of a parents pleaser. So my dad wanted me to study science. I knew that was not my taste. I took up science. Not that I had any back papers or I was stuck, but it did not reach me anywhere. Then got married early on, had a baby very early on, and suddenly I realized that that's not my purpose of life. So if you call me or if you ask me, the dawn happened much later in my life. So much later in my life, I realized if I continue like this, I'm not going to be anywhere. I was at a point when I was so stuck that when my friends who I studied with in India came to Kathmandu, I avoided meeting them because I realized that I had already messed up my life. Then I took up the urge of studying, and I would want to say that my father in law and my husband played an instrumental role in getting me back into academics. So I did my bachelor's, I did my master's, and in the meantime, what happened was I got an opportunity to work in one of the finest schools during that period of time called Radha Bangla School. So I took up the job, and I know that if I were to recall back some 30 years ago, I remember that I didn't get the job because I had a qualification, because I had no qualification. I only had plus two qualification with me. I got the job because I could speak in English, right? And because during that time, speaking in English was one asset that you had. And I started taking up academics seriously, started working into different places. And another interesting thing happened was I was working in a plus two called Noble College in Baneshwar. And during the same period, I happened to go to St. Xavier's Maitighar. And during that time, there was Reverend Father Anthony Sammy. So I happened to meet him just like that. I mean, I didn't go there for the job. I mean, nobody had recommended me. I just walked. For some reason, I had to meet him. So I walked into his office. We had a little bit of conversation. And somehow, Father was impressed and he said, "What's your qualification?" I said, "Father, I'm just doing my master's." And he said, "Is it your final year?" I said, "Yes, father. I'm doing my thesis." And he offered me a job. And that was a breakthrough in my life. So I started teaching the plus two group in St. Xavier's Maitigar, the bachelor's group. And during that period, I completed my thesis was completed. And I was also sent to the master's classes. So that's how I started teaching. And there are some pivotal names that I would want to take as far as my career is concerned. I had this professor called Professor Dr. Fanindra Upadhyaya, who played an instrumental role in, reaching me to this position that I am. A very strict professor, very, very strict. It's not that he would speak to me nicely all the time. So any little error, and he would say, "Rashmi, that's not what you're doing." So today, when I look back, during that time, I would be so scared of him. But today, when I look back, I realize that Fanindra Upadhyaya sir played a strong role. He was the guide, and he would help me. He would guide me into places. Then there are other names as well. Professor Dr. Arun Gupta, another very important name who helped me come this far. So there have been people who helped me through my career. So I was a very simple, humble, naive uh, career woman to somebody that I call myself straight-headed, straightforward, and very clear about what I want in life. So if you ask about my professional career, that's what it is. On my personal front, family basically helped me achieve whatever little success that I have it. So today, I owe it so much to my professors, to my family, who helped me reach where I am.
That was such an inspiration journey, ma'am. You are not only the leader, but also an inspiration to all of us here at Kathmandu Don Bosco College. So, looking back, did you always imagine yourself in a leadership role?
Like I said initially, I was this very naive person, right? And every time I speak to my master students that I teach today, I say, when I'm teaching characteristics, behavior, communication style, I ask them, "What do you see of me? Do you see me as an introvert and an extrovert?" And they would unanimously say, "Ma'am, you are out and out an extrovert." But if you ask me, I'm an introvert, right? I'm somebody who shies away from, well, if it's my job, I can take up any strength, any level. But if I were to start something fun, something interesting, that's not me. I'm somebody who've always been behind any fun activities, but the leadership that I have it today, I remember, if you ask me, I mean, this was something that I'd never thought of, but if you ask me today, I dated back to my school days and my college days. Probably that leader was there in me because any college work that was to be done or any program that was to be done, I took it into my hands, right? And I had this group. So now that you ask me now, when I am looking back into my school days and my college days, I feel probably I had that leadership skill in me, which of course got enhanced with time, got better with time. And I would want to call myself an empathetic leader who believes in giving equal opportunities to everyone, who believes in assigning work and also would want people to take up the assignments seriously.
Yes. So, moving on to the next segment, it's professional life.
Mhm.
What has been your most rewarding moment so far in your educational journey?
Like I said, somebody who
Yes,
who left the academic journey midway, got married, had a baby very early,
yes, ma'am.
and because I'd taken up science and science was not my cup of tea, so I started kind of digressing from my academics,
Yes.
right? So I sort of, felt that probably this is what it is. It's not going to go any better. So that was what I had it in mind. So if I got back into academics and into the role, probably I put in a lot of effort.
Yes, ma'am.
right? So the effort didn't start early on. The effort happened after the realization that, well, my life is not going to go waste. I need to do something in life.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
if I were to tell things to my students, I would say, well, not everybody is shining bright early on in life. So people will need to, see when can that inner calling come. So everybody needs that inner calling to do better. So my inner calling came much later in life, but better late than never.
Yes, ma'am. Or quick question. What do you find the most challenging about being principal?
Sometimes becoming a principal is not an easy task,
Yes, ma'am.
right? You'll have to take care of every cohort that you work with. So you have the management board, you have the board, then you have teachers, right? Then you have administrative staffs, then you have students. And for the role of a principal, what becomes extremely challenging is you have to get the work done, but you cannot let everybody become happy all at the same time, because there's this famous saying that you can make some people happy all the time, you cannot make all the people happy all the time. So as a principal, there are challenges that come, right? There are works to be done, there are timelines to be
Yes.
deadlines to be met through a set timeline. So during a period as such, you need extra hours from people. Even with the students, you tell them their do's and their don'ts, right? Even with the teachers, you tell them what is happening. Or for instance, I just asked you about a certain subject, how
Yes,
did the
ma'am.
subject go? So
Mm.
that comes as a role of the principal. So when you're doing that, it is likely that not everybody is going to be appreciative of it, but the role demands, and you'll have to play according to the role.
So moving on to the next segment, we have vision for KDBC.
Mhm.
So if you could describe the core identity of KDBC in one sentence, what would it be?
KDBC in one sentence is academics, learning, growth, compassion, and compatibility.
Yes, ma'am. So what was your first impression of KDBC when you joined, and how has that evolved over time?
Okay. So I was offered this position by our chairperson, Professor
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Mathe. He, also being the chairperson of AITM White House, he had invited me for a meeting. And because it was just 5 minutes walk away from my home, I went to him thinking that, okay, it's going to be so close to home. So probably I'm going to, I'm going to make the most out of the distance, because
Yes,
I
ma'am.
won't have to waste a lot of time
Time in
going to the
traveling. Yes.
office and coming back from office. And during that time, I was working with ACE Institute of Management. So I thought, well, this is going to be something good. And then I come to realize, no, it's not here. It's going to be at Lajingpat, and it's called a college called Kathmandu Don Bosco College. So I came to the college, and without lying one word, I'm telling you this very candidly, I was a little upset for the fact that the program that KDBC is associated with Purvanchal University.
Yes, ma'am.
So during that period of time, well, even today, Purvanchal was not taken in good light, because it was considered to be a university that never did its work on time. The examinations were not on time, the results were not on time, students did not have a lot of regards for the university. So I came, I joined, and I wasn't very happy about it. This
Yes,
is a
ma'am.
candid reaction, and probably this is the first time I'm telling any of my students openly about it.
Yes, ma'am.
Eventually, I come to realize, when I started looking at the syllabus, I come to realize the syllabus is good, right? It's one of the finest syllabuses around. And then, even about the disturbances regarding the examinations and result, I got this opportunity because I was working with Pokhara University,
Yes, ma'am.
right? And then I was also working with BSW in St. Xavier's, also working with St. Xavier's program. So there was TU, then there was KU, and then there was this Pokhara University. And now I got this opportunity to compare and contrast with Purvanchal. So I had this biased notion that, well, I'm not going to be here for long, right? This is just going to be a transitionary period, because I could not say no to an eminent personality like Professor Dr. Sri Ram Bhagat
Yes,
Mathi.
ma'am.
So I joined. I still had that bias on my head, but slowly it got me this opportunity to compare and contrast. And when I started comparing and contrasting, I realized, like I said, the syllabus was exceptional. The examinations and the results were also, I wouldn't say brought on time, but it was not as bad as what the rumors were being floating around. And then slowly we started working, the team that I have at KDBC, starting from our chairperson, uh, to our program head, Jamna ma'am, to Ritna ma'am, to Biswa sir, our program coordinator of BBA. Then we had Bikas Neopane sir, somebody who played heavily on rebuilding BBA. The team made this work happen so well that we started continuing. And then we have students like you who are so enthusiastic about doing things. BBA so easily took up the burden of doing all the activities.
Yes,
So you took up the sports week, you took up the graduation program, the unplugged, the Nosai, and then suddenly you added on the Mendi program. So you started doing things with so much of enthusiasm that today I feel the job that I took up then did pay me happily. Well, I wouldn't want to talk about financially, but happily in the terms of the kind of people that I'm associated with, the kind of students that I'm associated with, and the kind of teachers. The MBA teachers who are associated with is not because they get paid exceptionally well here, but because they like the ambience of the college. So it is with the BBA teachers. So when you have finest fleet of teachers teaching your students, when your students are super enthusiastic about doing their job, I feel extremely happy and blessed to be a part of the institution.
Yes, ma'am. We're also very blessed and grateful to have a principal like you. So, moving on to the next segment, it is advice and inspiration.
Mhm.
You have already advised us and
Uh-huh.
inspired us in many ways,
Mhm.
but here are some few questions. What is the one thing you wish you knew in college?
Here,
In your
in my
college life,
college
yes.
days, I wish I knew then that you have to study well,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Everything is about time, right? That's
Yes.
one thing that I realize. Because as youths, as teenagers, you are more thinking about fun,
Yes, ma'am.
entertainment, personal life. You live life once. These are some of the slogans that we have. You
Yes,
live
ma'am.
life once, live it to the fullest. But we fail to realize that, when you're living life to the fullest, you need success, you need money,
Yes.
you need intelligence, you need knowledge. And without these, you cannot be living life to the fullest.
Exactly,
So
ma'am.
I wish I had known this earlier. But no regrets. I have a beautiful family. My daughter was just married a couple of months ago.
Wow.
So my family is extremely progressive, both on my husband's side and on my parents' side. So I feel I'm a blessed child.
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
So, what do you want every KDBC student
Mm.
to remember after they graduate?
Okay. Um, what I would want to say is at a time like this, when, there are international affiliates, I wouldn't want to put all international affiliates in the same platter, but when there are international affiliates, when they're selling their degrees, right, saying that you don't need to study, okay, why would you go and do a 4 years bachelor's program when we can offer you a 3 years bachelor's program that completes at 2.5 years,
Yes, ma'am.
right? And you actually don't need to sit for real examination. You could do your assignments and get away with it. I would want to tell my KDBCians, my students, that you know there's nothing that can replace real learning,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
A certificate is just another piece of paper, and I keep saying this all the time. It might be an entry pass, but it's not going to be a retention pass. So to be able to retain yourself to any position, to be able to work in that position, promote yourself to a higher place, it is important that you need to learn. It is important that you need to analyze yourself through the medium of examination. And I would want all my students to understand that every time we tell you come to college on time, every time we tell you be regular to class, every time we tell you do your examinations, right? Take your examinations. we say it with good regards,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
We don't say we have a smoking zone. We don't say we are taking you to the prom night. We go to the extent of saying, why wouldn't you wear traditional outfit for our
Yes, ma'am.
function? Because we would want to celebrate our identity, right? That's our identity. You come from a Sherpa community or a Tibetan community, or I come from a Brahmin community. Why don't we celebrate ourselves,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
So we would want to celebrate our being. We would want to celebrate our learning. And I would want all my students to remember that these little bickerings that we do, these little, you're not allowed to enter the class, you're late, is not because we are hostile, but because we would want to realize that once you leave your academic journey to get into a professional journey, things are going to be all the more
Yes,
difficult.
ma'am.
So if you don't tune yourself accordingly, it's going to be very hard on you. So we're just shaping our and molding our students to become better, bigger, and learn more.
Yes, ma'am. One last question for the advice and inspiration.
Mhm.
So, how should students handle failure, rejection, or setbacks in life?
Okay. Um, you know, when you are thinking about success,
Yes,
when
ma'am.
you're thinking about love, when you're thinking about day, when you're thinking about happiness, everything has the other side of the coin. So success without failure isn't success.
Yes,
There'll
ma'am.
have to be 10 students to be able to make you number one, right? So you are number one because a certain somebody is number 10,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
There cannot be happiness without sorrow, because
Yeah.
you won't realize the importance of happiness if you don't realize the importance of sorrow. So if you're happy all the time, that happiness becomes bitter,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
So you cannot understand or realize love if you don't realize what is not being loved.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
everything has its other side. So if you're thinking about becoming successful through and through, it's not going to happen. You'll have to see a little backlashes, a little bit of holding behind to be able to realize the actual success. So I would want to tell my students, see, put in your hard work, put in your effort, your 100% effort. See that you're not stepping behind your inputs, so that you look out for better outputs. So sometimes, even if your inputs are extraordinary, the output may not be as you are looking forward to. So when that happens, then it's likely that you become sad. But if you become sad and depressed, and if that's your major setback, you're never going to move ahead,
Yes, ma'am.
right? So get up, shake yourself, realize that probably that hard work was not enough, add in more of effort from your end, and be prepared for that success that's awaiting you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for your wonderful answer.
Thank
And
you.
answer was really good, ma'am.
Thank you so
Really.
much. Mhm.
So we are at the end of our podcast. So for the ending segment, is there a memory from your school or college days that still makes you laugh?
Oh yes, oh yes, really. One funny thing. I mean, well, you girls are aware of it. And during my school days, there was this new hairdo called perming your hair.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. And then we were in this was back in grade 8, grade 9. We were in our annual program shifts, where we were students of grade or grade 9, I don't exactly remember. We were all seated together, we were chatting, we were doing things. And then because I had this very wavy, naturally curled hair, I said I wanted to perm my hair. That was what I meant. And
Yes,
when I
ma'am.
said pump my hair, and everybody laughed it out aloud because I didn't know what the word was. So
Mm.
that's one funny thing that I remember. Other than that, probably my school days was long, long, long ago, archived in my memory. So
Yes,
I may
ma'am.
not remember quite a lot.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the only thing that I could remember just now.
Mm. So what does a perfect day off look like for you?
For me, well, I would want to have a change of my day. I wake up in the morning. I wake up at around 4:30. I do a little bit of my exercise. Then I take a shower, just go and have a look about in the kitchen, and then come back, dress up, start at 6 from home to reach the college on time. Then I'm here the entire day. And
Yes,
when
ma'am.
I get back in the evening, it's already dark. I reach home, I quickly have my dinner, um, read a little bit. I'm not doing a lot of reading these days, but watch a little bit of, because there's Netflix, so you watch something and then go back to sleep, wake up again. So sometimes I feel the monotony hitting me really hard.
Yes, ma'am.
But another thing, if I look at the positive aspect of things, meeting new people, meeting teachers, meeting parents, meeting children, that keeps me happy. But
Yes, ma'am.
probably I've started realizing that I need some time for myself. Maybe I started working too early in my life. And I said I was just uh, a plus two. I didn't even have my results when I started working, right? I was just a plus two and waiting for my results. It's since then I have been working, so it's been 30 years of my
Yes.
work. And now, probably, I know I cannot do without work because I'm so used to getting work. But now I feel probably I need to do something more to myself. I used to write a lot of poetry. Probably I'll have to get back into writing a few, do a lot of reading. I'll have to get back into reading and travel some more. So my perfect day would be, being there with the family. I'm out and out a family person. That's my strength. That's my weakness, whatever you would
Yes,
want to
ma'am.
call it. And I'm a little emotional person. I wouldn't say little, I would say largely an emotional person. So I get connected.
Yes,
So when
ma'am.
I'm speaking to you all, when I'm seeing my students now, when I just saw your results and everything, it affects me.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
probably that I should say is a part of my being, and I accept it the way it is.
Yes, ma'am. So, as you mentioned that you used to write poetry,
Yeah.
could you share some of like
Uh,
two, three line of
just
poems?
written one.
Yes.
Now that I've just written one. Uh, this one I just wrote it a couple of days ago. Uh, So it goes like this: a heart brimming with goodness, a generous well, yet love, it seems, finds other stories to tell. The purest intentions, the kindest of deeds, don't always blossom into flourishing seeds. For good, it appears, is not a currency fair, no direct exchange, no simple repair. You sow with compassion, you nurture with care, but reap no reward, just an empty, cold air. The cheaters, they prosper, unburdened by guilt. Their towers of fortune on falsehood are built, while those who give freely, their spirits so bright, are left in the shadows and out of light. Thank you.
Wow, that was really amazing, ma'am.
Thank you.
Do you publish your poems
I
anywhere?
used to in the past. I was also working as a columnist.
Yes, ma'am.
I used to give my articles to a number of newspapers: Himalayan Times, the Rising Nepal, the Kathmandu Post. Uh, Probably, well, I keep saying this to all the students, but probably this this must have played negatively into me doing any of the creative works.
Yes, ma'am.
Hopefully, I'm going to do it in the future.
Yes, because it was really good, and I
Thank
think
you.
you should publish it.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hopefully, I can some days.
Yes, ma'am. So, this is the end of our podcast.
Mhm,
But like before ending, we have closing line.
mhm.
Since you have already sent a message to the students, we want you to send a message to the teachers and the entire KDBC family.
For KDBC, I owe so much to the teachers, right? I owe them quite a lot. So many of my teachers are KDBCians. You've
Yes,
seen
ma'am.
Biswa sir, for instance, Man sir, Navra sir, Asta ma'am, right? Leena ma'am, all
Yes,
these
ma'am.
are KDBCians. And for all the teachers, you are my USPs. I keep telling them all the time. Without them, a college isn't a college,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
The temple of learning is great not on the basis of where is it located, or what the building is like, what the canteen is like, what are the activities it does, what are the fun thing it does. Nothing, right?
Yes,
These
ma'am.
are all add-ons, cherries on your cake. But if there is anyone who could do justice to your academic journey, it's their teachers, their passion, their compassion, and their willingness to teach you. So through this platform, through this podcast, I would want to salute my teachers with a lot of gratitude and also thank them for their commendable jobs.
Yes, ma'am. So before we wrap up,
Mhm.
we have this rapid fire round. So I'll be giving you options and you have to answer it quickly.
Okay. I hope those
So,
are answerable enough.
yes, ma'am.
Huh?
So we'll start our rapid fire round.
Mhm.
Tea or coffee?
Black coffee.
A place you'd love to travel?
Well, I've been wanting to go to Kolkata
Yes,
for
ma'am.
such a long time because I'd read interesting articles on the windows and the stories that Kolkata windows hold. So I really want to travel to Kolkata and learn more about their culture.
Yes, ma'am. So your comfort food?
My comfort food is dal bhat.
Dal bhat. Same here. So mountains or beaches?
Beaches, always.
What makes you smile instantly?
Well, any love face.
A Nepali food you absolutely love?
I love momo.
So last thing you watched on YouTube or Netflix?
Last thing I watched on Netflix is this series called Leila,
Leila?
right?
It is
And
Indian series.
it is a Hindi series, but surprisingly, it talked about the dystopian society that we are heading to, talks
Okay.
about the environmental concern, talks about scarcity of water, talks about greed, and one of the finest things that I watched.
So the last one,
Mhm.
one student habit that always makes you smile.
Well, if you smile at me, I smile back always.
Okay. So thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
here today. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, ma'am.